Hello and welcome to another Sarasalandcast, and I am your host Reroll Zero. Today we're going to talk about a uh, another subject that I know I haven't recorded in a while, but that's mostly because uh, gosh, what's it called? Um, Twitch not handling the situation so well on their end, for all the uh, for all the for all the cyber attacks and all that. And so I'm just I'm less inclined to trust Twitch that they have it under control because what makes me so annoyed about Twitch is that they have because it's owned by Amazon or whatever, and so um, they have money for outer space projects, but they don't have money for a little bit of tech support. Like it kind of reminds me of there's an issue on Star Wars Battlefront 2 for the Xbox One where the console would freeze, and they didn't fix that for like 16 days. I remember because I streamed it when I was on Mixer, so yeah, it was almost the exact same thing with Twitch. Is that they took so long that the damage had already been done, and you know it's just kind of awful. Putting it out there that like they took so long to do it or to work on it, and it was a solution that didn't even really work because they had a subsequent cyber attack the next day, or some cyber attack the next day. So, or soon after that, which is just even more ridiculous. So, I know it's like a lot of the people I've associated with, they went back to streaming, which that's fair. That's their livelihood or part of their livelihood, and for me, for right now, I think it's just not a good idea to go back to Twitch at the moment. Um, so same thing is that the other reason why I have not been recording so much is because I've recently got a job, and I'm really grateful for it because like I've been saying that I what's it called I really wanted to get a job. I may have said that a couple times in the past, and even when you're getting affiliated with Twitch, it's really a bad disparity unless you get famous or unless you're consistently streaming where you have some form of at least a backer that subscribe to you every month. Well, at least a lot of people that subscribe to you every month. You won't be getting a significant amount of portion of money. Um, so same thing as like I didn't have a job before, so I kind of relied on recycling, and 2 bags of plastic at $17 and some odd cents is not a lot. Um, and even from Twitch, you get at affiliated, you would get you wouldn't get that much either. So yeah, so getting a job has really given me a new sense of uh new new purpose in life. Like I want to, I'm not as I'm still depressed, but I still am I'm less depressed to an extent because I have a reason to get up in the morning. I have a reason to live, uh, and I'm really happy for that. I'm really grateful for that. So I got a job at Walmart, and I'm really grateful for that. I do stalking, um, and I work early, and then I leave in early as well, which is good. So it's kind of difficult to wake up at that hour, but at the same time, I consistently do it. So anyway, so I work in the back of the store sometimes, and I mostly work uh, stocking the shelves, and it's not such a bad job. Like, and this is honestly my first job I ever had. Like, again, like I kind of said it before. I kind of had, well, technically this is my really really first job, because the other things were, they were kind of volunteer-ish, and they didn't really count because they were kind of, some of them were for school credit, and some of them for, I was not paid for that. So, other than that, this is my first real job. So, and I want to work at it as long as possible, or be a part of working at Walmart for as long as possible, because it's definitely something where when you start finally getting your first paycheck, it gives you a sense of, again, like a renewed purpose in life, and that's what's helping me out a lot, is that I have a routine. A routine is something that you definitely want when you're a depressed person, because specifically speaking, I think I said it before. I think when you get out of school, or when you stop going to school per high school, it really messes you up by not having a schedule, because you need some sort of direction or foundation in your life. And if you don't have any of that, you kind of just spiral out of control, and you don't know what to do with your life. So that's one of the things that kind of definitely is awful being unemployed, is that you have no sense of direction in your life, and you feel depressed because you start spiraling in that direction, and it's not a good feeling. So I've had the job, and I kind of wanted to hold off on making a podcast about it until I was working for at least a month or so, and I've been at the job for a month or so, which I'm really happy about. So, I passed my first month. I got my first paycheck, and other paychecks after that. And yeah, it definitely gives you a sense of, not urgency, but a sense of pride. And that's one of the things I think a motto I've seen on a shirt a couple times is, if you're only going to do one thing in life, you might as well do it right. So I've been trying to do my best at the job. So, and even though I'm slow at it, even though I do make mistakes, it's always, I'm consistently learning. Again, there's been there's been a few customers that have been, not the best, not the best personalities, or that, gotten kind of angry really fast, and, but that's neither here nor there, and I can't get sad or glad, or sad or mad at them. Everybody's, nobody wants to go to the supermarket in the first place, or shop in general. So they're there, and they don't want to be there. And even though a lot of people say you don't want to be there, but I haven't gotten to that point where I'm so bitter about working at the job or anything like that. I'm just honestly, like they say in the Johnny Depp Willy Wonka, you're just happy to be there, aren't you? And I am effectively happy to be there. So, but yeah, it's such a engaging experience. Again, like, I spent so much time, out of school, and I tried going to college every now and then, especially with online courses, and that didn't pan out. And I've tried going to class physically, and that worked out for a little bit, but again, not completely. So, and with COVID going around, it's not. You probably could attend in-person classes, but at the same time, it's not. It's still probably a better idea to stay home and probably take online classes. So, anyway, So yes, so I started working, and besides a cute couple of customers and maybe my boss chewing me out maybe like 2 or 3 times, it's still an enjoyable experience. I enjoy working there. Um, you know, Besides the 2 or 3 times I just mentioned, uh, all my coworkers are super nice. So, um, you know, most I mean, rephrase that. Most of my coworkers are super nice. Um, gosh, what I was gonna say. It's a very I know I already said this, but it's a very engaging experience. I can't understate that. Um, because again, like it's what's it called? It's very different from not having a routine to having a routine. So um, and same thing. A lot of routine stuff happens every day. In the morning, usually we open boxes, and usually that will be like stuff from either the previous day or new items, so that we'll have to restock the shelves usually first thing in the morning, and then depending on how the day goes, we'll top stock or take the items from the highest shelves and try to maneuver them in the lower shelves to make sure we don't uh, take additional um, take additional cases from the back room and make even more of a bad situation or whatever. So we try the top stock, um, or we do top stock, organize it up there, maneuver items down to the lower shelves, and then the last part of the day usually is that we'll set up truck, or usually one of our bosses or coworkers will set up truck. Um, that's usually the hardest part of the day, but at the same time, it's not completely difficult. The job itself is very physically exhausting, but other than that, it's still enjoyable. Like I know I need to consistently bring gloves, and I keep on forgetting about that, but um, lifting pallets is a whole other ordeal than just like stocking things up, or top stocking, or opening packages and such. Um, because pallets are maybe gosh, I'm trying to think of it. Not 25 pounds, maybe. Oof, a wooden pallet is maybe, because it's not as heavy as like a bag of flour or some of the dog food. By the way, dog food and flour, if it's 25-pound bags, those are probably again like a real issue of working at the job, or not a real issue, but like probably the worst thing about lifting things is when it's like like a bag or something. If it's like a box, that's or like a container, that's better. But if it's just like a bag full of heavy stuff, then that's worse, because the weight can consistently shift on you. So yeah, 25 bag or pound bag of flour is awful, and dog food is awful as well. But other than that, it's either the heavy stuff that's a bag, or it's immensely small, or the really small stuff, which is super annoying, because I had to do this maybe 2 weeks ago, but or not had to do, but it's part of the job. Was the candle aisle, and there are these little things of wax, like cubes of wax, that I think are used for the candles, or I mean definitely used for the candles probably. Anyway, hang on, I'm gonna take a sip. So yes, but when there's like a million tiny things, that gets really annoying because you're just sitting there sifting through all the numerous tiny things, and most of the time they are either through customers or another employee, from either the from one of the other shifts have either worked on it or didn't finish in time. So again, like I'm always trying to remember that I'm trying to work consistently, work well, and that try and be fast about it because it's the same thing that I imagine with like office jobs or frankly any type of job is that what you don't finish is left for the next employee. So you have to be better about making sure your workstation looks good. Um, so yeah, specifically, sorry, I'll I'll finish about the candles and then we'll get back to the palettes. But yeah, the candles have so many like varieties and such. It gets really annoying, and also not just varieties from the brands themselves, but also there's like Yankee Candle and Better Home and Gardens. And so there's those two, and then there's like three or four other varieties of brands, and then there's subdivisions. And yeah, it just takes a lot of time, and it's kind of difficult. But yeah, like what probably the three small worst things to deal with are supplements. I worked with supplements yesterday. That takes up a lot of time. But I think it's not as bad as the candles because the candle aisles at least had clocks and like two. Never mind. I think it was just clocks and mirrors, and you don't have to exactly work on the mirrors. So because there was no like top shelf or top stock shelf above it, so that's a good thing. You kind of just skip that. But for the most part, the candle aisle is just not a good time. I think at the very least, the supplements kind of go fast, or kind of go a little bit faster than the candles, because it's not just they're small, but they're also small within segments. So it sounds like Kool-Aid or like some other like tropical drink mix, right? They'll have like a six pack or something like that, or small powder packs or whatever. So imagine those powder packs, but for like six or like 10 or like nine at a time within like those plastic holders, or I think they're called PDQs. And imagine like 10, 15, 20 to a row, and yeah, have fun. So it's like that. And same thing with the supplements is that there's a lot of tiny bottles, and it's kind of hard to work on it effectively. So because there's so many items, it's hard to be I think honestly the only aisles that I feel confident about are the chemicals, like the cleaners and the like laundry detergents type thing, and maybe the dog food / cat food that isn't the bags, and some of the food, like I think I've the pasta aisle, I think I've worked on at least maybe 6 or 7 times already, which is good because I remember most of the products, so then I know where to look, so I don't have to use my work phone to scan the product. So I'm always I feel like that's my most confident aisle. I think another one I've worked on is the juice / beef jerky aisle. That one goes fast because not just the juice is in large containers, but it's either to identify then a very small thing that that can get very distracting because there's so many varieties of them. So there's so many varieties of a lot of things, but if they're a bigger product, then it's easier to compartmentalize and get it done. So anyway, enough about the candles, enough about the supplements. And yeah, baby food is also kind of that too, but excuse me. But the baby food is at least smaller. Same thing with the supplements. That's what I was thinking. I think the supplements and the baby food at least goes a little bit faster because it's a shorter aisle, so you don't have to deal with deal with the candles. The candles a slightly bigger aisle, so you have to deal with that for a longer amount of time. Anyway, so about the pallets. The pallets are. I'm not a good guesser of weight, but I guess maybe for pallets, maybe because they're wooden and they're it's a frame, and then they're slightly it's a lot of weight that's not super heavy, but again, it when you after a while and after you start like picking them up and putting them to their designated spot, it can get exhausting. So maybe like 10-15 pounds. I'm gonna assume it's 10-15 pounds. So you have to do that for at least maybe like I'm trying to think of how many pallets. Maybe 25 to 40 pallets each day for working on truck or remix for that matter, and or at least when you're setting up for the next shift, that gets started, and yeah, that can get difficult. Also, trying to set up the machinery, that's a slightly difficult because the machinery is not that heavy, so you don't have to lift it per se, but you have to pull up and then release like a oh gosh, I can't think of it. Almost like a rubber band. I can't think of it, but a thing that makes sure they stays compact and that you can set it up for the next day and then set it or then close it down and all that. So you set up pallets, you attach the machinery, or you work on the machinery, and that's kind of the start and end of the day is that at least for my shift we start early, working on whatever the overnight couldn't finish or either didn't have time for, not to be rude to them or anything, because again, it's a different thing every day. And because it is a difficult job, because sometimes the trucks don't get in. Sometimes that we had that for like dairy, like maybe a couple weeks ago. And yeah, I would say I'm going to say the worst part of the job is, again, I think dealing with frozen stuff. Frozen stuff is almost worse than the candles, because at least with the candles, you're stuck in a consistent temperature when you're dealing with frozen stuff, and sometimes I have to wear gloves. You get cold immediately, and you have to stay there in the shelf, either taking it down or putting it up, and there's no stock because it's just refrigerators, so that'd be impossible. So you have to put everything in one go, or not at all. So that's kind of the thing about frozen stuff, is that that's a little bit more difficult to deal with, because you're also dealing with more time, or in a less or shorter time frame, because it's frozen, so you have to move faster. So Other than that, I think the best part of the job is, gosh, I don't know. You could say honestly, getting paid is something that's nice because it's definitely more than what I got for 2 bags of plastic and Twitch. So in Twitch again, never to be rude for that, and I'm grateful for that as well. But I'm just saying that like the fact that like you mostly get paid for donations, and that like I swear Amazon or Twitch don't give that much for affiliates anyway. Like you probably get like a penny or like something of like per ad you show or whatever, but at the same time it's not a significant thing to it's not a significant thing uh to see. You can't really tell, and that's probably the most difficult thing, is that when you're working on something like Twitch or even recycling too, is that when you're recycling, at the very least, when I didn't have a job, I got it down to that every 2 weeks we could take in recycling, and that and so I figured that's a good timeline. That's not so bad. And then for Twitch was definitely worse because there's no guarantee that you're gonna get paid, or there's no guarantee that you're gonna get a payout. Friends do drop in every time, and or drop in every so often, and they buy a subscription. But it's super difficult because again, like Twitch, like Facebook, like a lot of colloquial, like Instagram, or it's a popularity contest, and it's not based about if you're good at your job or anything like that. It's just a popularity contest. But having a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks from Walmart, or another job, like leagues above, because yeah, it's like Twitch. And again, I'm grateful for the money. I can't say I can't say how much it meant to me that technically Twitch was my first job, or where I got a paycheck. It's essentially, but Walmart is a guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks, and I can't sneeze at that. I can't be beggars can't be choosers. I'm really happy with that, and it's much more than the payout is from Twitch. So yeah, I'm not being forced to say that or that the corporate authority is over me. No, I'm legitimately happy working for Walmart, and hope or when or whenever if or hopefully I'm not fired, or hopefully I don't quit, but whenever I go to work for another job, hopefully I can get a you know a recommendation from one of my bosses, and that I can list this down as a job experience on my resume. So I'm really happy for that as well. So it's been giving me so much opportunity in such a short time period, and I can't be less than happy, because this is just something new for me. And I even growing up, I didn't ever have really a job. A couple of my friends did, and yeah, it's difficult without a job or routine, because I may have said that after, or definitely, or possibly the podcast where I talk about how it's difficult for after high school, or after the equivalent of your country's schooling system, but it's difficult after the fact to find out what you want to do, because college, depending, college may be in the cards, or it's too expensive, or it may not be possible to go to college, so you get a job. But then at the same time, if if no people are hiring right now, then it kind of gets to you. Kind of um, and yeah, so I never had a job before, and um, this is such a good thing to say. I can't. Other than that, I can't fully express what I want to say because it's such a different experience, and I'm grateful for it. So, um, thank you for listening. Gosh, what was I gonna say? Um, gosh. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for listening or watching. I am your host, Reroll Zero, signing off.